The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
All right, let's now move on to our main focus on global lens, which continues to be on the ongoing Israel-Hamas war in Gaza. Israel's war in Gaza will be a long fight and is far from ending. That's what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said after his return from the war zone on Monday, where he met with Israeli soldiers. This was his second visit to the Gaza Strip since the 7th of October. Netanyahu told his Likud party it will be a long fight and it's not close to ending. We need patience, cohesion, unity, and adherence to the mission. We don't stop, we keep fighting, and we deepen the fighting in the coming days. That's what he said. As Netanyahu announced further intensification of the military operations, the Hamas-controlled health ministry has said that at least 250 people were killed and 500 others injured in just the last 24 hours in central Gaza. More than 20,000 Palestinians have been killed since the conflict began in early October. The World Health Organization has said its officials visited hospitals in Gaza again, where they say they heard harrowing accounts of human suffering. Now, during a special session of parliament, Netanyahu was interrupted by shouts from family members of hostages who are still being held in Gaza. They held posters and signs displaying photos and names of their loved ones. A close confidant of Netanyahu, meanwhile, is expected to meet with Biden administration officials today. Ron Dermer, a member of Israel's war cabinet who previously served as ambassador to the United States, is expected to meet with officials from the White House and the State Department to discuss the next phase of the war. The US has repeatedly stated in recent days that it expects Israel to move away from the high-intensity war that it has waged for nearly 3 months in Gaza and change its strategy towards more precision targets and surgical operations in an attempt to save civilian lives. Meanwhile, Egypt has proposed a 3-phase plan to end the war between Israel and Hamas. However, it's not clear if there are any takers for this plan. Reports suggest that in the first phase of the plan, Israel would be expected to pause its military operations for 1 to 2 weeks for Hamas to release 40 hostages, including women and the elderly. The second phase includes an agreement of the exchange of bodies of Hamas operatives held by Israel for the bodies of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. The third phase of the plan includes an all-for-all deal, meaning Israel would return 6,000 Palestinian prisoners in its jails for the remaining Israeli hostages, including soldiers who continue to be in Hamas captivity. The third phase also includes, as per this proposed plan, the end of the war with Israel pulling out from Gaza and the establishment of a technocratic government in Gaza which will not be affiliated with Hamas and will get the support of the United States, Egypt, and Qatar. Now, even as the fighting in Gaza intensifies, a major development has raised the specter of a possible escalation of the conflict in the region. Iran and several of its armed proxies have vowed to retaliate against Israel, following the alleged assassination of a senior Islamic Revolution Guards Corps commander in Syria. IRGC commander Sayyid Razi Musavi was actually killed on Monday in an Israeli airstrike on a Damascus suburb. While Israel has refused to comment on this issue, the IRGC has vowed to avenge his killing, saying the Israeli regime would undoubtedly pay the price for this crime. The Iranian foreign minister has warned Israel of repercussions, saying Tel Aviv should expect a tough countdown. In a separate statement, the Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson said Iran reserves the right to take necessary measures and respond to this killing at the right time and in the right place. Israel has for years targeted what it calls Iran-linked positions in Syria, where the IRGC, an elite wing of the Iranian military, has a significant presence. The Iranian state media described Musavi as one of the most experienced advisors of the Quds Force, the foreign arm of the IRGC. Next week, Iran will mark the 4th anniversary of Qasem Soleimani's assassination by US forces, and Musavi, who was killed on Monday, was the most senior Quds Force general killed since Soleimani's killing. Iran's warnings of retaliation were echoed by Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and the Iran-linked Al-Nujaba resistance movement in Iraq. Meanwhile, Israel's finance ministry informed the Knesset on Monday that the country's war with Hamas in Gaza will likely cost it at least another $14 billion in 2024 and result in a near tripling of its budget deficit, projecting that fighting in Gaza will last at least through February.
And to you, IDF fighters and grieving families and hostages' relatives, I say from this stage as well, we are not stopping and will not stop until victory, because we have no other country and we have no other way. I want to tell you, lawmakers and their families, we wouldn't have succeeded up until now to release more than 100 hostages without military pressure. All the pressures we apply, political, intelligence, many other efforts, would not have succeeded without the military pressure. And we won't succeed at releasing all the hostages without military pressure. Military pressure, operational pressure, political pressure. And that is why there is one thing that we will not do. We will not stop fighting. We are in a multi-front war and are coming under attack from 7 different theaters: Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Judea, and Samaria, Iraq, Yemen, and Iran. We've already responded and taken action in 6 of these theaters. And I say here in the most explicit way, anyone who acts against us is a potential target. There is no immunity for anyone.
We're in Al-Aqsa hospital where I just left the resuscitation room where a 9-year-old boy named Ahmed was being treated basically with sedation to ease his suffering as he dies. He was crossing the street in front of the shelter where his family is staying when the building beside him blew up. He was hit by shrapnel, by rubble. His brain matter was exposed. He was taken to a hospital close to where he lived in Nusrat, and they transferred him here to Al-Aqsa. But there's nothing anybody can do for him. Like so many cases here, there isn't capacity to manage complex neurological cases, complex trauma cases. The operating theaters are working 24 hours a day. The emergency room is far, far beyond its basic capacity. We're seeing kids like Ahmed dying unnecessarily because of bombing and fighting, and because the health system doesn't have the capacity to even come close to managing these kinds of complex cases among the hundreds and the thousands of cases that come through these doors in front of me every day.
All right, joining me on Global Lens tonight is Lev Aron, Israeli columnist and journalist. Great to have you back, Lev. We're also joined by Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, defense and geopolitical expert here in India, joining us from New Delhi. And completing the panel tonight is Irina Sukuman, national security and geopolitical analyst, joining us live from New York. I need to take a quick break here on the show, but don't go anywhere. We will go across to our panel of experts in just a moment.
जब हम करेंगे तो पता लग ही जाएगा सलमान खान का करेंगे मारेंगे यहीं जोधपुर में मारेंगे तो पता लग जाएगा
This is someone who is sitting inside our jails and is still very obviously and openly running and possibly the largest organized criminal operation in the country.
Student organization of Punjab University में सोपोगा acting president type भी रहा है.
He was a troublemaker, getting into fights with people, not coming to the class.
As on date, it appears that Lawrence gang is the most important, the prominent gang. Gangs here in Punjab, they are intimidated.
Today, he's India's most dangerous gangster, and India's presence are apparently no bar to how Bishnoi runs India's largest criminal empire.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
All right. Let me go straight across to Lev Aaron, who joins us from Israel tonight. Lev, welcome back to Global Lens. Lots to talk about here. Of course, the Prime Minister of Israel saying yet again that, we are going to press ahead with this war. He visited the Israeli troops in Gaza on Monday. And at the same time, we're talking about how Egypt has proposed a three-phase plan, not just to get the hostages back, but to actually end the war. I wonder what your thoughts on that are, whether there are likely to be any takers. And there's been another major development, which is that a top Iranian commander has allegedly been assassinated by Israel. At least that's what Iran is saying, and they have vowed revenge and payback, clearly threatening Israel. What are we to make of this?
First, I want to apologize that I cannot be here all the time, so please forgive me. Second thing, I think we should assume that Israel was the force behind, and that Iran is right, that it is something that Israel has done, and Israel has done what it's done because we wanted to tell Iran, look, now we are all playing with fire. If Hezbollah starts a war, you're also part of the war. So this is first about Iran, and in this case, I think Iran is right. Probably it is Israel, even if Israel did not deny that it is like our job. So I think we could all guess it is Israeli job. The second thing, Israel does not like the Egyptian plan. On the other hand, Israel doesn't want to be the first one to say we refuse to take it seriously. So I think we will have to see how Israel says no, but without saying no. So, and the third thing is that, of course, Netanyahu has no other choice but to defeat Hamas. This is because it is a consensus among the Israeli public, and also because of our desi inside politics. We have to win the Hamas. This is the only thing that all the Israelis agree about.
Okay, since I know that you have to leave in a few minutes, Lev, I need to ask you this question. It's interesting. You're saying yes, it is very probably Israel that has carried out the assassination of Musavi, the senior-most IRGC commander since Qasem Soleimani was killed by US forces. Now, you're saying this is an important message Israel is sending out to Iran, a country that it sees as the architect of the 7th October terror attacks, saying, do not play with fire. We are willing to go to any length to protect ourselves and our interests. But let's not ignore what Iran has already said. They've issued a clear warning, or shall I say a threat to Israel, saying you will have to pay for this. Everyone from the Iranian president to the foreign minister and the IRGC have said Israel will have to pay for this, and we will take revenge at a time and place of our choosing. So my question is, even as Israel seeks to send out this message to Iran, are you not seriously risking an escalation of this conflict, something that has been feared, discussed, debated, and dissected by experts for weeks now?
So if we all assume that Israel is behind the assassination, I guess that Israel took the risk. And as far as Israel is concerned, even if Iran says that a revenge will be there, a vendetta will be there, still Israel believes that Iran does not want a war right now, when also Yemen and Americans and also many NATO states are part of the war. So I think that even if Iran
and I rarely interrupt you on this show, but isn't it true that Israel also thought that Hamas was in no mood for a war, and then 7th October happened?
I think it is a fair question, but I don't think that even now Israel thinks that Iran is the mastermind behind what Hamas did. because the Hezbollah leader said quite clearly, he was crystal clear, that they were all surprised. So I don't think that Israel thinks that Iran is behind the 7th of October. They financed Hamas, of course. And maybe again we are wrong, like we were wrong on October 7th. But right now, Israel believes that that Iran will be more careful, and also Hezbollah's proxy, because nobody wants a real war on the northern border.